Hello, everybody, to the Jojo official Stone Ocean podcast is what we were just discussing in the interim, in the break here between episodes. I say Stone Ocean because I'm watching the anime, and also because we're recording from jail. I took a lot of the cops down, but they eventually they apprehended me, and I'm here in the visiting room with Nord and our esteemed guest Lokkit. It's episode 81 of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory podcast. After I admitted to being into the Kagamine Rin style that was when she was 14.
Yeah, the cops are on their way.
So now I'm here. I'm incarcerated. Hashtag just American things. And we're here to talk about no new testing roster characters and no new main roster additions. What we have lined up for you is 4 straight art updates for various characters, all by different people and all sort of independent of each other. I don't know how this sort of became the month of the art update. You could say 2023 is the year of the companion character, or maybe of the art update. But November has definitely been the month of the art update because that's what we will be discussing today. All quite good in their own ways, I would say. Perhaps there will be some disagreement, but definitely all unique. So I'm here with Nord. I'm spnanon, but Nord, introduce yourself.
Hello, and don't worry, spnanon. I think we'll get you off on a technicality. She's digital, so it doesn't actually matter.
True.
It's been good to see a couple of art updates. It's always good to see older characters getting a bit of love. And just as much as it is good to see new characters, I would say.
Lokkit?
Hey, yeah, I'm Lokkit. I'm back from the last episode. Developer behind SPNatI, Nagatoro, and Nonon. How's your cell, buddy? Yeah? Comfy?
Comfy? Yes. In my holding cell.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk about these art updates. That's I don't know if you guys know, but when I joined, I actually really didn't have any plans on writing. I was always more art focused, so should be good.
Nord, do you want to introduce each of these characters? And then we'll have, let's say, Lokkit go first. That's typically how we do things with the guest. Last episode was a little weird because it was kind of your work to begin with. And then we'll have Nord, you can give your piece, and then I'll finish off. Okay? Take us in.
So, first up, we have Beatrix Art from Battleborn. Blue Coin seems to really love Battleborn characters. I believe they're working on making a third one as we speak. But Beatrix has gotten a very good visual update, I would say. A couple of new poses here and there. Overall, a lot more expressive and more detailed. And a few dozen writing updates to go along with it, giving her targets with newer characters. But, Lokkit, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. This character kind of creeps me out. The syringe thing, that's a little spooky. However,
I'm sorry, kind of creeps you out?
Yeah, kind of a lot. But the art update's really good. I'm actually so beyond impressed with all the mechanisms on her syringe arm that seem to, I don't know, it looks like they're moving with every pose. The new body detailing is nice, how her robot legs sort of attach to her in a more deliberate way. I didn't realize how tiny she was, but yeah, she's super small. The face detailing's really good. I think from what I've seen of her source, the eye shadow that was added, it was a good touch, and the lipstick and everything. Yeah, my only criticism is maybe a little bit more detailing on the body, the nude body wouldn't hurt, but overall it's super impressive. I can only imagine how much work went into this, the knees, the mechanism, the syringe, the arm, it's pretty crazy when you really break it down. So yeah, really good update.
It's a little funny that she has all of this custom detail, and even her nude body has a little bit of custom detail, but then the thing that stands out to me is that she has a default Kisake belly button, of all things. It's just one of those things that you notice and then can never unsee.
Yeah, a little extra detail there.
Have you been off that? Have you been adding custom belly buttons?
Actually, yes. Sometimes.
I haven't. Except for the Nagatoro tech that I stole, where she's sitting down and her belly kind of scrunches up a little bit, and there's ribbons to scrunch up her belly button. I just stole that.
Yeah, no, feel free.
Nobody could stop me.
All of my codes are publicly available if you want to just copy.
Oh, I don't think I copied it. I just referenced it
yeah.
and then made it with my own ribbons. Legally distinct. Sorry, continue, Nord.
Trying to remember, did she used to sit in an office chair for her forfeit?
I think it was a folding chair.
Yeah, that would make sense
like
if it's one of the more like defaults, yeah. Overall, I really like this update because it's made her seem it has made her a lot more expressive, really. It's hard. I think there's sort of an uphill struggle for like two main reasons of trying to get people to play with and interact with Beatrix. The first is she's from Battleborn, a game that I'm 90% certain you can't even play anymore.
I don't know. I don't keep up on Battleborn news.
But Battleborn shut down in 2021. Oh boy. The second, more obvious one.
Well, I mean, Overwatch has pretty much gone the same way. So who really won?
Overwatch is being kept afloat entirely through R34. Everyone knows this. Even the developers probably know this. Probably. They do know this. But the second main thing is she just undeniably has a much more out there desire than your typical character. The syringe is a bit of a turn off if you're a coward.
Oh, I am the coward. That thing's scary, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want that near me. I don't want that near me or in me.
It's apparently a medical device, but just the injection itself would probably cause whatever grievous wound it's meant to heal.
Yeah. On a funny note, I think
that thing is like as thick as Jura's sword.
I think Blue Coin recently made a discovery that she's not 71 years old. She's like 700 years old due to a misreading of some lore. I don't know anything.
So she's just as old as Videl.
Ah, that's a reference 3 people will get.
All the people who watch this cast, probably.
All 3 of them. But obviously I don't know Battleborn lore, but I assume there's the technology is there for her to be functionally immortal. And I imagine with that comes the tendency to go crazy.
You mind if I say my piece?
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't have much else to add.
Your show.
That too.
Hey, we have equal ownership, Nord and I. That's why I just unilaterally decide how we're going to introduce things and the agenda and who we're going to invite on as a guest, and he just has to deal with it.
Yes, honey, whatever you say. What are your thoughts?
Beatrix is... I might as well take this time to, God, I mean, I guess we did talk about her way back when she first came on, which must have been 2018. On whatever episode of the podcast that was. But it might as well be an opportunity to talk about her as a character in general. Because, I think it's kind of a shame. She gets a bit of a raw deal because she's from Battleborn, which, there's obscure sources, and then there's sources that people literally make fun of nobody playing. And, she's not conventionally attractive. Blue Coin has actually done a lot to make her more conventionally attractive, which is kind of weird if you think about it. If you like this character in the first place, I don't know why you would make them more conventionally attractive. But the detail here is undeniable. I think it's because she's also got 3 layers, her play stats are probably kind of high, but it's for entirely cynical reasons of people just grinding out collectibles and epilogues and things. And I think it's a real shame. I don't think any character deserves to just be treated that way. It's also a shame, for open source, banter reasons that, I mean, because she's not conventionally attractive, it does kind of break the premise of the game a little bit, because I don't know exactly what she's targeted or tagged as, if it's monster or like non-human or whatever, but most generic lines you would think treat the other characters as like conventionally attractive woman. And when they play for a character like this, it does kind of take you a little bit out of it. Although I guess if you picked her and you're not just grinding things out, then you do like her. But it is a little, it does strain credulity a little bit that everyone else would also be into her. But I mean, if you like her, that's the whole point of that's the whole point of how the game works. And I'm not knocking that. And if you're gonna make her, then make her work and do the best you can. And all the details here. And this could not have been easy. I mean, all these elements that you see kind of existed on her model before, but they've all just been upgraded. It's the kind of thing where maybe you wouldn't notice at all that she's changed. But a side-by-side comparison, if Solitaire could put that up, I'm sure she's been improved in all the little ways. Like everything looks a lot more accurate. Just like the segments on the Insta sticks, I think it's called. And just like the detailing, all the little joints and notches on it, they line up just right. All the wires coming through, all the little mechanisms and the arms holding the two halves together. Her little stabby stiletto legs and the wings, her mercy wings. Sorry, had to say it. It's all there, and it's all very well done. And if you just ignore all those things, like her teeth and her skinny, weird body, and her stabby legs and her stabby needle. Her butt pose is pretty nice. It's like hanging. It's like got some depth. It's hanging against her robo thighs. So what I'm saying basically is that she's better than Nonon.
God damn it!
She's got a butt. That's how it works.
Dude, the butt pose is coming. I promise. I'll get right to it. I'll go back to the Keystone Mines.
If you release the butt pose before this episode comes out, you'll make spnanon look senile.
True.
It is episode 81.
Just start gaslighting everyone. Yeah.
This isn't really specific to Beatrix. I just want to throw that out there. Or I just want to throw this out there real quick. It's time to move on, but I just want to say this is not really specific to her. But she was kind of written a long time ago. A lot of these characters were kind of written a long time ago. All 4 of them were written a long time ago, Jesus. And you could kind of tell. Whenever anyone took off anything small, all they did was complain about how it was boring. She had a lot of one-liners, and so did a lot of the other ones. They're constantly vying for attention. First of all, talking about how boring something is just makes everything boring. It makes me more bored to read that. I'd rather you actually just make conversation. People don't constantly complain about how things are boring in real life because that's really annoying and makes you not fun to be around. So don't do that. Shut up sometimes. Again, not just specific to Beatrix, but not every line has to be a one-liner. You don't all have to be cartoon characters. Just, let the game breathe a little bit. Just some general writing advice that you can get from playing these old characters. There can be a bit of a mismatch sometimes between very old writing and very new art. That just makes it stand out even more. But yeah, silence is golden. And Beatrix is purple. Nord. Our next character is also purple.
The best segue you have ever done.
Smooth.
Raven Roth from Teen Titans. Updated by Bullet Shock, who hasn't stuck himself in the art credits yet. This is a complete overhaul of all of her game images and of her epilogue assets as well. Although I believe there were some issues with epilogue things being slightly off. I'm not sure if those have been fixed yet or not. But overall, a comprehensive art update to everything Raven. I think the Starfire assets in the epilogue weren't touched, actually. That's a little outdated. I have a fair bit to say, but I will let Lokkit go first.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think overall, I really think this is a good upgrade. It's a bit of a shame. I think actually it would have benefited from maybe going back to testing just to iron out some small details just to push it from that A+ to S tier. I would love to see maybe the posing touched a little bit more. I think that was kind of intentionally left. And I feel like there's maybe a little opportunity to like improve things there. But overall, it's like a really solid upgrade. And I'm kind of sad like that for Bullet Shock that like maybe there was like a little controversy, not a lot, but just there was like discussion about it. Because I think it's a really like the effort shows it's really good. Yeah, so just like minor gripes, like maybe like a little more detailing. Like I don't like the custom Kisuke abs that much, but like the face is really nice. The new silhouette is good. The custom boobs are good. Really good.
For a little bit of added context, I think Bullet Shock has been very busy with things outside of SPNatI, and he's been sitting on this update for a while, so I think he wanted to get this out of the way so the work wasn't just lost forever. Unlike some of the other updates here, this Raven one did receive a couple of downvotes. There's a like quick pass voting system that means that purely visual like updates like this one that drastically change a character's look but don't really impact their interactions or anything, if they can go for a quick pass and then it's just a 24-hour vote. Some people downvoted this one and reasons were cited that like some of the posing could maybe be improved, but in my opinion, like people that downvote and don't explain why they're downvoting it, you're basically saying you would rather discard the entire update over minor issues rather than, let a, 90% improvement go through. But that also comes with the added context that Bullet Shock himself basically said he didn't want to return to testing with this update because he feels that he would be obliged to do writing updates, and he is not prepared to do that for Raven. He just wanted to handle the art side of things.
Which is not true, by the way. You can request no writing sponsorships, which is exactly what happened for our next character, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like if the choice was between having it and not having it, like I'm happy to have it. I think it's a really good upgrade. But it's always nice to get a little feedback and stuff, and I just think it could really go from an A+ to like an S if there was just a couple changes. But yeah, really good effort from Bullet Shock. I like Bullet Shock stuff a lot.
Yeah, he does great model work, and hopefully if he has some free time in the future, he could go back and address some of the criticism, because now that it's in the game, he can do as many like minor adjustments as he needs to.
Yeah, he's very talented. Looking forward to that.
In your opinions, what is the 10% that was not improved?
If you're asking me, I don't actually have anything that I didn't have any minor nitpicks. It's other people that had these nitpicks. I was 100% on board with this update.
Yeah, for me, it's just, I think I already said, like, the posing, like, just slight improvements could be made there, and then, like, some of the details, like the abs, or, like, could be custom instead of the default Kisuke, but really, like, just the super minor stuff. I don't know if it was worth even bringing it back to sponsorship on second thought. I think that, yeah, like, all this could be addressed later whenever Bullet Shock has some time, if he wants to.
Art reworks are kind of a curious thing because they can result in wildly different outcomes depending on like how ambitious it was. This feels similar to there was an art rework a couple of years back for Faye Valentine. And it was just like a straight upgrade. It was like part of the Masquerade. And like it was improved in every way, but that was the only improvement. It was just the model. The poses were lifted straight from the old one. The writing was totally unchanged. And I wrote a sponsorship saying, I'd like to see more ambition for the project. And they weren't willing to really go that far, which I think is fair, but without even really intending to, apparently I don't know if they just didn't get enough votes in general, but that like ended up blocking them returning the main somehow, and now she's just sitting there and incompletes, and like it's not what I meant to do. I just wanted to give feedback on it. And Raven was spared that fate, but it's a very similar story. Writing's the same, poses are the same, and sometimes there's a mismatch there, like if her mouth was changed to be open, but the line that she had was closed, like silent, It just looks like she's standing there agape.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that.
Well, no, it's just when you do a purely art update, you have to make the poses match, and that means the model can be using inferior posing because you don't want to have to go back and maybe change some of the dialogue to match whatever new pose you make.
Yeah.
And then it means that like those instances like the mouth changing, those do stand out because, obviously you probably saw it in a test game of like that being mismatched.
And like it looks good. It looks hot. It looks detailed. Like whether it's like the shine all on her leotard and like the high cut, so you see like I get, what would you like, pubic shading? I don't want to say vagina bones.
Vagina bones, yeah. Where I think like I don't know, yeah, pubic.
Like
shading.
That looks really nice.
I believe Coolcat has said they are pelvic creases.
Sure, the
there
V.
You go.
Although it's more like a U in her case. The boob detailing is nice. There's this nice like nude with the cloak pose. I didn't see that. I don't know where that is. I wish she did that. I just found that in the files. Main criticism for me is just she's like Pinhead Larry. This was the main point of contention, but her head just seems too small. I know we've been arguing to make characters' heads more realistically small, but it just doesn't quite gel with the way the model is. It's like some kind of weird scaling where like her body parts steadily get larger as you go down, and it doesn't feel cohesive. It's like her hips are like way bigger than her head, and like it doesn't feel right with like the human eye, because you're so attracted to the face and you want to look at the face, but it's so small. There's a couple little like minor facial posing issues that I personally have. It's a matter of style, but I just feel like oddly for a stoic character, it still feels like sometimes her eyebrows or her eyes didn't contort enough to really sell the expression. I felt she wasn't stoic enough in general, but that's more an issue with her writing. I felt that way for a while since her rewrite a couple years back. And I would kind of agree overall that it's just like it's like a 90% improvement, but with like this little niggling 10% that it's really a shame. And I wish he wasn't so afraid to or reluctant to go back to testing and to sponsorship to iron those out. But it's kind of clear like he just kind of wanted to move on. Like there are some nice custom flourishes and things like this cloak and stuff, but you can tell like, it's a little basic with how the cloak's moving because, good enough. Yeah. Everything else is just like a symptom of being an old character. Talking too much about how the game's boring. Talking about the game too much in general. Not having a lot of poses in the first place. Only other critique for art I can give, the stripping itself, the strip poses, I feel could be improved. Which, if you're going to improve just the art, the stripping poses, although it's a pain in the ass because you got to probably like draw it or make custom assets for the clothing being half off. It is pretty much the most important thing in the game. It's in the title. So is the poker. The poker is not important. The inventory is not important. The strip is important. You're going to want to do that.
I think it would have been cool to have an in-between of her removing her cloak where she's like holding it. I like it when characters have poses where they're like holding something folded up over their arm. I think he added the animation of her leotard coming off. I don't think that was animated before.
No, I don't think it was either. Should do a thing where she pulls the leotard aside. People love that. It's ironic, Beatrix is the character that no one believes in except for Bluecoin, but she looks a lot more like visually cohesive. Here we have the character that everybody knows, everyone jerks off to, even the people that never watch Teen Titans. But it's not a half-hearted effort, but it's clear that like he wanted to do this and then he wanted to move on. That's the way it is with these mega popular characters.
Yeah, it's not a lack of effort, it's just that Bulletshot clearly wanted to get this out of the way.
It's a shame. Yeah. He posted some like proportional like reference poses and things, and in all of those her head was just way bigger, and I know that's because she's kind of a cartoon character and she's drawn a little with like a bigger head proportionally. But like that's just the way character looks, Maybe you wanted to age her up a little bit, but it just doesn't quite work for me. Still, on the whole, I would say an improvement, even if it's not quite as cohesive.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to jump in, just like on a more positive note. Yeah, like I'm glad it didn't get blocked. I think it's like a really like nice upgrade.
No,
it
was not worthy of being blocked.
Yeah, definitely not worthy of being blocked. And I think Bulletchuck did say he had plans on iterating on it a little bit. So yeah, I mean, we might.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. It's a really good start. And I'm just super glad it didn't go into the void of just forever incomplete work that, SPNatI's been accruing over the years.
It's a rare project, especially like art rework, where it's like bad enough that everyone has to descend on it to like, we got to stop this. We got to block this from getting through and make sure it's fixed. And in all of those cases, invariably, what ends up happening pretty much is they are blocked. They just like fall offline because the author just doesn't want to put in the effort to make all those fixes demanded of them. Because I mean, if they were kind of bad in the first place, then why would they be able to make the fixes? And then there was Lotte.
Just one more thing on that note, though, is that we, the dev mods, wouldn't allow a situation where someone like Bulletchuck, who is not the original creator, come in, do an update that fails, and then drops the character into incomplete. That wouldn't happen. We would most likely just revert it back to the like pre-update state, rather than like allow you to assassinate a character currently on main.
Oh sure, yeah. I just meant this update. Like I'm glad it's not just didn't get blocked and then Bulletchuck never touches it again. Like I'm glad it's on main. I really am.
Yeah.
Beatrix got an art update. Raven got an art update. And then there was Lotte, who, according to Nord, got an art update, in quotes. Go see episode 75 for the full rant there. And, well, this was a turn of events we did not expect.
Yes. Lotte Jansen from Little Witch Academia got an art update from Poochie D. They really stuck with the Poochie the dog persona up until the end.
And it was the end. They fucking died the instant.
They are gone, yeah.
They literally left the server after finishing the update.
They peaced out. He was committed to the bit.
Yeah. Going to post the before and after now. But I would like to start this off by saying I don't really take back my frustrations at the situation as a whole of like this person being allowed to update Lotte without really being, there being any checks or balances. But in general, I will commend the effort. They got some pretty tough sponsorships and they did their best to address them all. I just really, really wish they hadn't bungled the end of it so much that they used the "I have to go now, my planet needs me" message for 3 merge requests in a row. 3 separate merge requests.
Well, he clearly is not a guy who's going to get it right on the first time. Like, we've learned that. But he is a guy who apparently will stick with it, which I think might be the first time I've ever seen that in my history with this game.
Overall, I would say the update is good because it's made her proportions slightly better, and yes, her art is slightly more updated, her outfit looks a little better, but there's a lot of baggage that comes with her not getting any writing treatment either. But instead of me going on a long-winded rant for the next 10 minutes, I'll let Lokkit get his thoughts out.
Okay, yeah, so I think I felt similarly to other people. Like, Poochie came in with a bit of an attitude that, like, Poochie was saving us from this really bad model that Lotte currently have. But I don't agree with that. I think the current model was, like, the old model, I guess, was fine. There was clearly a lot of effort put into it. I didn't really like the disrespect of the old stuff. That being said, Poochie's very persistent. I do like some things about the new model. Like, I think it's a little bit, it has like more of a cartoony vibe that is very fitting for Little Witch Academia. I like the brighter sort of colors and like the hair and the eyes. That works really well. And some of the improvements on the outfit are good. I mean, overall, I feel like it's really just in the minor upgrade to side grade area for me personally. Like, there's some things I don't like she kind of looks like too tall or something now. Not sure if that was done just to age up or what, but I think there could be some maybe improvements there. And yeah, it feels mostly like just a different style, like a different take on Lotte's character. So yeah, respect to Poochie for being persistent, but kind of annoyed at the attitude that there was about the old model.
An issue with the older model, I would say, is that the proportions being close to Kisuke default definitely made her look too young. And then I'm going to say the first iteration of Poochie's work made her more source accurate in the entirely wrong way of it made her look even younger because she's underage in the source material. So you don't want to do that. You want to age the character model up. And eventually, I think she got better in that regard. It just took a lot to get to that point.
I would call her a genuine improvement. The faces, in particular, like they feel more natural, even like compared to what they used to be. I don't know. Maybe there was just like something that Poochie fucked up and then corrected. But there were like some mismatching faces, and like now she like smiles in that pose, and it just works better. It is kind of a shame that he just bounced immediately. I guess we didn't give him the best impression, but he did not give us the best impression of himself either. It's just like I cannot believe this actually happened.
Yeah, it's really.
It actually went through after all the controversy, after Nord awakened his fucking Shingoku Satsu and annihilated him on the podcast. after I sentenced him to months in the Kisuke hair flipping mind, the hard labor. I don't think any of us like actually believed he would do it. Thought he would just get discouraged and leave. And that's kind of didn't mind that because he started out as an asset stealer. And there was a whole thing in the annoying ass Poochie LARPing. I guess Just Kidding kind of believed in him a little bit, but even that seemed kind of half-hearted. And against all odds, like he kept like posting like, oh, okay, it's fixed now. And then it's fixed now. And then it's fixed now. And every time people had to come in and be like, no, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. No, here's what you do. And then he would disappear for another 2 weeks and come back. And somehow it's just like it's like the moon revealing itself. It's all of a sudden it's like, oh, she actually looks kind of good now. Her hair does flip. Her blush is reduced. Her proportions are better. She's not bone dry anymore. I don't know what happened. It was almost like magic.
Yeah. The Poochie is persistent. Nobody could argue otherwise.
If we had to bet on this, we'd all be broke right now, and he'd be laughing all the way to his
home. Oh yeah,
planet.
I would be fucking bankrupt. Yep. He'd be laughing all the way with money bags.
And then he would die. I don't know if there's really anything else to say other than I guess it's sort of an inspiring underdog story if you count an art thief as an underdog. A literal underdog.
You got there in the end, so that's all that matters.
Hey, even if you cause incredible controversy in the community, you can still adopt your favorite character. You can stick with it. You can horribly fuck it up and then get blasted over the podcast. And then you can stick with it. You can go quiet for a while. You can make all the improvements. You can fuck those up. Then you can make them again. And then Nord has to eat crow on the podcast after he said that he would look forward to banning you and reverting all your hard work.
Did I say I was going to ban him? I don't remember that.
I think so. I think what you said is that you would take pleasure in reverting it and then saying Poochie died on the way to his home planet.
Probably.
If anything, it's a testament to how tolerant this community is, right? Like, Pucci kind of did nothing correct in the beginning, but hey, their work is still in the game now, and yeah, I mean, I do like it. They definitely have talent.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's why I actually like sponsored. It's like, okay, there's some talent here. It's just, it's got all these problems. And he fixed them eventually.
Yep.
It's a game anyone can contribute to. Well, is there anything else to say?
I've said my part.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Sorry, I'm done ribbing you now, Nord. It's just funny. I mean, you did that whole rant, and I believed every word of it. Like, yes, this is absolutely going to be how it goes down.
Glad it had a at least slightly positive ending of like she actually got a good update.
This is the good timeline.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, that's more important than delivering justice. Well, take us into the final character.
The final art update of this episode is that of Monika from Doki Doki Literature Club. Neome has given her a fantastic, in my opinion, art update that makes her outfit a lot more source accurate and makes her nude body a whole lot more soft and inviting. The hair as well, incredibly detailed. Everything is incredibly well detailed. I can't single anything out, actually. Because I'll just be listing everything one by one.
The fuck is that, the gift? Second gift that's on center.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say it. Monika, best girl.
Yes.
Lokkit, what are your thoughts on this art update?
I'm sorry, I've never heard of this character. Can you please explain what Doki Doki Literature Club is?
All right. Well, first I just want to say Neome, the GOAT. Clearly. I don't know if anyone could argue otherwise. This update is, like, insane. I mean, the detailing on every... Yeah, I'm with Nord. Like, if I were to point out all of the things that are great about it, I would just be talking about every part of the model, pretty much. So yeah, really awesome to see it. I do like the improvements to the nude model, and yeah, the like outfit is really awesome. Let's see what else. I wrote some notes. Oh yeah, so okay,
she's even got the custom knees.
She does. She's got it all, baby. So without trying to sound like a salty, jealous artist, I feel like not everyone should necessarily strive for this level of detail in the game. Because I noticed when I was playing this, like when you zoom in, the detail is phenomenal. But when you play it in the game, like all the characters are pretty small, and I feel like maybe some of the effort to get all these details in there may have, like some of these small details just don't really render in the game super well. So while this is super impressive, and I hope Neome continues to just blow me away, I definitely think this is something that not everyone should feel like they have to strive for this, because you get some diminishing returns when you start getting this detailed. But overall, this is an excellent upgrade. I call hacks. Neome is clearly just way too talented.
I think she has a little skin indentation on her stockings, on her thighs.
Oh, I didn't even know it. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. The detail is just insane. I didn't even notice that, though. Very good. I know Neome uses I think Neome uses imports like SVG, or converts SVGs to Swifts. I'm assuming that's how the hair was done here, because I mean,
kind of seems like it.
Which is very annoying to do. I've done it myself. It's hard, and that does not take away from the talent required. Yeah, I mean, Neome still had to create this really, really good hair and everything. Yeah, nothing but praise. This is awesome. I'm very jealous, and Neome the GOAT.
I get what you mean, Lokkit, about not everyone should strive for this level of incredible detail, because if you can do it, it looks great. But you can also sort of get lost trying to go for 100% source accuracy. I'm trying to remember. I almost think there was someone on DeviantArt. I do not remember who did something like this for all of the Doki Doki characters. That got very source accurate looking sprites done in just basic Kisake. No idea how they did it, but I noticed there was some actual like there was discussion going on in the SPNatI community that like going for total source accuracy kind of actually looks a little off-putting in if you like put it in a like I want to say Kisake context, like SPNatI context. It's worked really well for Monika here. But I feel like if you just blindly applied this to all the Doki Doki characters, like Natsuki and Yuri in particular might look a little off. Like, especially in the face department, rather, because, like, Doki Doki Literature Club, I got it eventually, their sprites are quite stylized, like, the facial expressions.
Yeah, it's like their sprites are always rendered like way bigger on the screen in that game, right? Because it's like a visual novel.
Yeah.
So I think you're able to really appreciate the details in the style because of the way it's presented. And in SPNatI, it's like your character's really small on the screen and they're tiny and like you kind of want to just like, this is just my philosophy, but I think like really like bold, like simple details often is going to just work a lot better in this game specifically. That being said, this upgrade like is very, very good.
I kind of see what you're saying there. I see it with the hair especially. Like the body is well detailed, the hair is well detailed, but they don't necessarily gel. The hair seems like it's very clearly like made in another style. It has a different level of detail. It has a different line weight. It's just not constructed with like Kisake shapes, you know. So it's not. It doesn't quite mesh. Even though at game zoom, it's probably.
I'm gonna disagree. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that that's the case, because if you start to like recognize too easily, like, yes, that's a standard Kisake shape, it sort of takes away, I want to say, like the illusion of like it being just much better artistically. Although it's hard to really say that because, like, having seen so much behind the scenes stuff anyway, I think a lot of people sort of lose the magic almost.
It just doesn't look like her body, you know.
Yeah, I think especially with like the nude.
It's almost like her head is on a higher layer, almost. Kind of the way the Florina looks actually. Her head always seems like it's on a higher layer because like her hair detailing is just like way softer than her body.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more apparent with like the nude body, right? Because you have this really detailed hair, and the nude body is absolutely like amazing as well. But it's just less detailed, right? Because it's Kisake, like it's very difficult to like get all the shading on the body to like work. Pretty much impossible. So it's like the body looks like normal, like Kisake, like SPNatI level of detail, and the hair is just like it could be right out of the game. You know what I mean? It's that good. So that's a little jarring for me, but still, I mean, it's not a huge problem or anything.
You can certainly add more detail to the body.
Yeah.
You can't get the shadows to like follow everything perfectly just because like the bindings don't, like when you move the arm, they like move around a little bit and stuff.
Yeah, it's a pain. As an uninterested observer, it's really weird following the progression of like Doki Doki Literature Club, like art reworks, because there's been multiple for like each of them. You know, they all started with their model, and everyone's like, "Oh, this model's pretty good." You know, it's not too hard to make in Kisake with the defaults because they're just schoolgirls with school uniforms, and then like each of them got like a different model at some point. It's just like, oh, you know, this one's pretty good too. But then like some people don't like it because it's in a different style, like Natsuki. And then this one comes out, and it's like, oh, this one's also pretty good. It's just like, I don't know, it's like unlocking a new level of understanding that they didn't have before. It's just like, oh yeah, how did we ever think that the previous one was okay when this is clearly better? Apparently, he has plans to update all of them.
I thought that was just something people were.
God bless him, I guess.
Is Neom going to do that? I thought that was just something people were speculating on.
I think he said he wouldn't be opposed to it.
I think, yeah, I remember seeing Neum actually say something to the effect that like a Natsuki model was either in progress or planned. So maybe. I'm looking forward to it though. I mean, again, Neum absolutely goated.
Yeah.
Even if it's just updates to the uniform now that it's been done once, I think would be pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
So yeah, that's a good point. You know, if you have this level of update for a character in the source material, if there's another character from that material just that's in a similar style, it makes updating them a lot easier. Like I used Maya as a base for both Jura and Barnett.
Yeah.
And like all those bounties that people should still be filling for their crewmates. Same thing. I made their codes available. Nord, you can personally attest to that.
Yeah.
Please make Gasconia.
Maybe. I haven't actually touched Kisake in a hot minute, so who knows?
So yeah, this is a very good update. I had the displeasure of playing with Monika again to test it. Not that she's a bad character; she's a very good, very well made character. I just hate this kind of character. The meta fourth wall breaking. I don't know. She's breaking kayfabe. You know, she's threatening the Federation here.
Your poor immersion.
You know what I find actually? I have a bit of a weird take here, but hear me out. Monika is unique in a coding sense because she has custom JS in her character folder, which is what causes all of these weird shenanigans to happen when you play with her, like the glitching effect and the fact that she can outright like pause the game and go on a tangent explaining, hey, here's how you can help develop a character as well. But to me, a lot of that starts to show how relatively primitive she actually is. That like she needs JS to do all of this unique stuff. She has a dual forfeit with Sayori, and that was like one of the first ones ever done from the game, I'm pretty sure. So it requires custom like scripting to make it happen. Whereas these days, dozens of characters pairings have dual forfeits, and it's all done just through marker checks and pose maker shenanigans. And there's so many other things you can do with the pose maker and all as well.
She did custom scripting to like ask the player if they wanted to see it, I think.
Yeah, that too.
You could always do them. I did Mayos and Juras way back in the day. I think it was earlier. I'm not sure. It might have been around the same time.
Ah, I understand.
Yeah, you just have to make a blank image.
But it's kind of funny to me that looking at it this way, it shows that like she was from a slightly more limited era where to do a lot of crazy Doki Doki Literature Club accurate stuff, you had to literally just code it in rather than finding a creative workaround with the tools available.
I don't like how her shtick kind of lessens other characters. You know, says I'm real and they're just dumb fictional characters. But at least she does it to be kind of productive. You know, she shills the game. That's pretty nice. Tells you.
I mean, if you're picking Monika, I kind of feel like that's probably what you're looking for. But yeah, I get your point, spnanon. It kind of like she makes the game like very centered on her.
Saska. All right, well, that was almost an entire hour of nothing but art updates. Nord and Lokkit, do you have any updates for us before we end things? My bail has been paid. I'm currently walking out of the jail as we speak.
Ah, nice, you're a free man.
Once I get over the border, yes.
So there'll be another episode then. The podcast isn't over.
It'll be a while before these dipshits figure out that I'm not really SPNanon.
Wait, who are you then?
Jorge de Guzman.
I've been talking twin imposter this whole time?
Any final thoughts?
The butt pose is coming for No Known. Or actually, it's already out. I'm going to gaslight everyone. It's already out by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah.
I don't know what spnanon was talking about. Cherry has one. And yeah, please feel free to give feedback if you're a No Known enjoyer or otherwise, and you just want to see something from her. I mean, I'm not going to be offended. Like, feel free to share your thoughts in a DM or give me a feedback report. Would really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the show, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Good to have you. And to you listening, remember to give feedback reports in general if you play SPNatI, because we're always hungry for feedback and praise in general. But even if you have any constructive criticism, it is greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Remember to like the video and share it with all your friends.
Share it with your in-laws.
Go up to them.
Hit that bell.
Share it with your neighbor. Share it with your pastor. Play Raid Shadow Legends. When's it going to happen? We were talking about it. When is someone going to add a Raid Shadow Legends character?
Oh God, I hope never. Honestly, I think some of them are like real people. I'm not sure if you would be able to.
People will be like, Dead by Daylight gets to have real world actor Nicolas Cage in it. Why can't we do that in SPNatI? And the answer is because we're not getting paid for it.
Not yet.
Well, this has been episode 81 of the Strip Poker Night of the Inventory podcast. That was Lokkit. Thanks for coming on, Lokkit.
Thanks for having me.
Always great to have you. Look forward to see what you do in the future. Hope you expand your horizons. Thanks for being on, as always, Nord.
You're quite welcome.
I don't have a joke.
They're adding Wonder Review to All-Star Battle. Neat.
What is that?
Jojo stuff. Although I don't know if Spinanon's back.
Oh.
Okay, probably not.
Is it a game?
Yeah, it's a fighting game of Jojo.
Cool. I'm like familiar with JoJo up to like the 6th gen. And after that I don't know. I've heard the 7th iteration is like peak though, so I guess I'm missing out.
Yeah, Steel Ball Run. So there's a game called All-Star Battle, which is a fighting game for the PS3, and then they've come out with a updated re-release called All-Star Battle R, which has more characters and runs a lot better. And they've come out with DLC characters, and one of them is from Part 8. Oh, spnanon, welcome back.
It's not Joshu, is it?
No, it's Wonder Review.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
you play as Wonder Review, and then Toru just appears.
You don't play as Toru?
Toru appears in the like between round cutscenes, apparently. But you play as the stand.
Well, okay. If you've read it, it's like it's weird.
Yeah.
Wonder Review is kind of semi-autonomous and talks
It's
on
like
its
one
own.
of those, yeah. Yeah, now I'm familiar with JoJo up to like part 6. I've missed out on part 7, which I've heard is quite good, and part 8, which I've heard mixed things about actually.
I finished my full read-through of the manga last year. Mostly because I wanted to name all my Pokemon after stands.
Oh, All-Star Battle also has Bao the Visitor from one of Araki's other works.
Right.
And you can sort of see like the proto JoJo writing in him with like how weird his powers are.
It's he was in early Cars basically.
Yeah.
Part 7 is very good. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite, but it's probably objectively the best.
What's your favorite?
And has some of the biggest like character depth and things, like emotional stakes, and just like the scale of the story is naturally quite expansive because it's taking place over the entire continent. It's very good. What did you say you like watched up to part 6 or?
Yeah. Well, I watched part 6 when it was coming out, and I read the manga for part 4 and 5, and I watched the anime of 1 and 2 and 3.
Okay. Part 8 is like okay. There's parts that are really good, and then there's parts that are like really, I don't want to say bad, but they're just kind of like they're not delivered on properly. It feels like kind of unfocused.
Would you say there are parts that feel lame?
Yeah, it's like Toru, you know Toru in Wonder Review. His whole arc is the very end. It's the it's the last fight and everything. But he doesn't show up before that. He's like this twist villain, but instead of a twist villain, it's more like he just kind of shows up out of nowhere. He's like, he's okay. You've been reading this manga, this monthly manga for like 8 years. Here's finally the main villain. It's like that's just too late.
I heard about people going insane trying to figure out who's the main villain gonna be, and then it's just some new guy.
Yeah, and there's just like not enough time, ironically. Like there's a lot of interesting things going on right up until the last arc, and then it's like I don't know if it was because of COVID, but it was as if Araki's editors just like slapped him down like you gotta finish this shit in 2 months. And he's like, oh fuck. it just kind of stops, and there's no real resolution to all the things that have been swirling around the entire time. So even though like it's got some good character depth, it's got some interesting characters in general, but the resolution was unsatisfying for a lot of people.
So like, what's your favorite JoJo part then? Are you familiar with like all of them? You caught up?
Yeah, I've read the whole thing. I watched the anime for parts 1 through 5, and then I read the manga.
Okay.
Waiting for part 6, and then I'm watching part 6 now. It's weird to be on the other side of that now and knowing what happens. I'd say part 7 is definitely up there. I don't know if it's personally my favorite. That might go to parts 2 and 3. I really like how parts 1 through 3 form a pretty coherent story. That's nice and self-contained.
Dude, same actually.
And they have very strong continuity, which I was impressed with at the time. Like even when I was watching the anime.
I'm a part 1 defender.
Part 1's
it's really
not bad.
simple, but I like it.
It's actually better.
And it does set up nicely for 2 and 3.
It's better in the manga because like they had to cut a lot out to fit it in the anime.
Yeah, like I find a copy of the JoJo manga in a comic book store. I read it, and then the first pages are like an ancient Aztec cult using the stone mask, and I'm like, this wasn't in the anime. My favorite is part 5, probably.
I actually like part 4 the best, I think. Part 4.
If I had to pick one, it would probably be 3. Just because that feels like, just because it sets up so much for like what the series identity sort of became, and like the whole stand of the week thing wasn't tired yet at that point.
I mean, some of them were goofy, dude. There was a car. There was a stand that was just a car.
I also really like watching like people play Heritage for the Future at a high level. You know, the 2D Capcom fighting game from like the 90s. So that's kind of ingratiated part 3 into me a lot. It's got a lot of the minor villains as playable characters. But yeah, part 7's very good, and it'll take a long time to animate because it's long as shit.
I can't wait for those 3D horses though. It'd be so good.
There's gonna have to be CG horses because horses are notoriously hard to animate, and there's like 1,000 of them in every scene.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I get why.
I've been watching part 6, and they animated the frogs falling out of the sky in CGI. I was like, oh, that don't look good.
Mm-hmm.
I hope their CGI improves. Yeah, like parts 7 and 8 together are about as long as parts 1 through 6. So,
damn,
strap in.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
It's gonna be a long anime. Anyway, yeah, we should get to work on get back on the podcast here. Nice JoJo talk. Unless you want to tell me more about Mei and Jura.
No, I'm good. I already glazed you enough. I think we're good on that one.